My life motto is don't settle for anything less and follow your gut. Because I think as you pursue your passion, however wild it is, that you need to have the ability to drown out the opinions of others and listen to your own intuition and into your own gut and believe that intuition and execute based on that. Because I think that is how God answers prayers, through your intuition. So if you ask for, if you pray for enlightenment, it is through your gut that God answers it. So just follow it and pursue your passion wildly. I'm a mom and a wife first. I have an 11-year-old son and I'm married to a wonderful husband. So all of my activities revolves around them first. But I'm very happy because they let me do other stuff also. So as a third role to that, I'm a cake artist by heart. I love baking. As much as I love decorating cakes, I love the process of baking itself. So getting the ingredients, putting it all together, and baking a cake for somebody, a loved one, and that's where I get my high. Lastly, I think I'm trying to be a savvy businesswoman, so I'm trying to build a brand. That has been my priority from day one, is to build a brand that will leave a legacy even when I'm not here anymore, is to leave that name behind for my son and for my family. I started when I was 6 or 7 years old. My mother was very supportive in as far as the technical aspect is concerned, meaning I was showered with a lot of summer classes in baking and cooking, so I got my love from there. As an adult, I wanted to go into full-time, but then I grew up in a very traditional form of family where I was surrounded with people who's just highly intelligent, who expected me to go into the corporate world and be successful there. So I went into the corporate world for a long time. I was successful in it, but I always go back to my passion. I'm very lucky that I was able to marry somebody who fueled it. Somebody who, my husband really encouraged me to take it on full time, despite of what other people thought. Because when I resigned from my job, and it was such a high position in a very big organization, 90% of the people I talked to thought I was crazy in letting go of a job and going into this full time. But it was my husband who told me, the opinions of others really don't matter. It is what you think is right, and if you're willing to do the work to make it succeed. So here I am now. I listened to, I think earlier on I was able to decide whose opinion matters to me. So whenever I'm in that crossroad, then that support system, that's the only support system I listen to. My son and my husband. My husband, because I consider my husband to be a business mentor. He's excellent with business, building a brand, selling things, creating a corporation. That's his strength. He's my inspiration because that's really not my strength at the beginning. I can do a cake, I can make a cake, but I didn't know how to market it. So he inspires me to do other things and to learn other things aside from making a cake. How do you build a brand? How do you make the corporation successful? My son, on the other hand, is my biggest, one of my biggest inspiration also, because he doesn't have any filter when it comes to feedback. He's the best critic I ever have because he's very honest. He tells me straight up if what I'm doing is not right from an 11-year-old perspective. Creatively, he would say, oh, it's not nice, you should do this, etc. So he also inspires me to create something that I could leave behind as part of my legacy. Because if he's not there, then I don't think I'll be encouraged or motivated to leave a legacy behind. That it's not just about just one cake, it's about leaving a brand and a brand name behind that he will be proud of even when he's grown up. I think in baking itself, it's a very manageable struggle because there are a lot of resources already in baking per se that will help you. Bake Happy Manila being one. I mean, you can get all the resources you can. So it's not so much of a struggle. The biggest struggle for me is being an entrepreneur. I believe in the brand that we put. I believe in the cakes that we put out. I believe in the aesthetics. But there's no point of having a good product without having a good brand. So if it doesn't reach the market I want to reach, and it doesn't really mean anything. So the struggle really is that how do I build a brand circled around the passion and the aesthetic I want? Second is people management and people development, because as we grow the business, the struggle really is to build a team. If it's just you will not be able to grow the business the way that you want it. So being able to hire people who is as passionate as you may not be equal the kind of passion you have, because nobody will equal the kind of passion I have for this business. But at least people who's also as passionate, who loves to come to work, making sure that I train them and they come to work every day liking their job, because it's a very creative process. If they're not in the mood, the cakes will not be as nice. So the struggle there is really to maintain that environment wherein you let them be creative, given certain parameters, train them to be efficient, and make them passionate about their work. That I'm a very creative person. I create all sorts of things. Cake is just one of them. I think when people see me, they instantly go to, oh, she's the one who makes these awesome floral cakes. But what a lot of people don't know is that it doesn't matter if it's a cake or not a cake, if it's a candle or a crocheted item. I love the creative process. I love creating something regardless of if people think it's crazy or not. So that's the reason why in my off chance of having time for myself, I don't go to the mall and shop. The first thing I do is to shop for classes. And I think that's a good segue for this kind of platform wherein everything is already online. Just like, the other brands, when I find an online class, and I'm a sucker for online classes, the first thing I do is I enroll. Because I want the creative process. I want to learn something new, make something out of it, do it. And if it's not marketable, then it's okay. At least I learned the skill. So I'm a sucker for workshops. I'm not really into shopping, like shopping for clothes, etc. I would much rather spend the money to learn something new. That it's not just about a cake. You can have the best cake, the best tasting cake, and the most beautiful cake. But if you don't get your brand out there, it wouldn't really mean, if you're doing it just for yourself, it's okay. But part of being excellent in creating things like a cake or doing workshops and classes, the bigger chunk of it is how do they reach your target market? How do you build a brand that will reach the market that you want to reach? So my advice really is, much as you're spending all this time probably learning the recipes, making sure that it's a great cake, you have to spend exactly the same amount of time learning about how do you run the business efficiently, how do you make it worth the while of your clients, how do you make it profitable, because only when it's profitable can it fuel you to have the resources to learn more and to do more. If it's not profitable, then you won't have the resources to spend to create more stuff. So it's really, at the earlier stage of the business, I focus on making beautiful cakes. Then we train the team into making it. Now my focus is into how do you now further expand the business and expand the name, because we're just a small business right now. So then how do you make it bigger? Hi, I'm Piencenaves. I'm the Creative Director of Custom Cakes by BAM. In today's class, you will learn how to make our popular salted caramel cake. There are 3 elements that make up a salted caramel cake. We will start with a very light and creamy Italian meringue buttercream. Following with the base of the cake, I will show you how to make a very delicious fluffy chiffon cake. And lastly, you will learn how to make our salted caramel frosting that we will use to cover our cake. I will teach you also how to adorn your cake by piping with Italian meringue buttercream. We will be piping scabiosas and chrysanthemums. So let's get started. I'm very excited to team up with the Bailiwick Academy to give you this particular cookie class. It is very close to my heart. We're bringing this class to you that will give you the benefit of learning what techniques is needed to come up with a true artisan cookie. These cookies have earned a lot of blogger awards and have been featured in different media outlets as one of the best cookies in Manila. So join me in this class and I'm very excited to have you in it.